The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. The first pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU.
And there you see Joe with mom and dad, and you have to wonder what's going through his mind right now. Remember, when he entered the transfer portal, he said one more time he wanted to go to Nebraska, and Scott Frost, the coach, said, is he better than what we got? The answer is yes.
Hey, Boog, a lot of people have asked me, why did he make that big transition from 18 to 19? It wasn't just the system. He got there late before that 18 season, didn't get a chance to get comfortable.
Wonder, there's Blaine Gabbert sitting at the board at number 4. Is this going to be the time that the Cincinnati Bengals move on from Carson Palmer, or do they take this young man, A.J. Green? We shall see what's going to happen.
Okay, with the 4th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select A.J. Green, wide receiver, Georgia.
Chad Ochocinco has 1 year left on his contract. Is this merely a replacement for Chad, or can they live together for a future term? Because the bottom line to me is, if you lose Chad, all you did was replace one guy with another, and you haven't helped your ball club.
With the 5th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
Okay, so the Bengals go ahead and get Joe Burrow, his old college teammate, back, getting the band back together, and figure out how to protect Burrow with another pick for another day. Daniel, does this surprise you?
I thought it was going to come down to the wire as a coin flip. We should get the house band to sing Reunited, and it feels so good for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was at his best at LSU when they went empty. They had weapons all over.
Around the league, not just that we mentioned it today, but we had heard it from other teams this week. They vehemently deny that Chester McLaughlin, their Pro Bowl defensive tackle, and who is simply as good as anybody in the game at that position right now, they say there's no way that he is on the block, so we wanted to get that out there. So now Dudley is a member of the Raiders, and you're right, that basketball team will look awfully good. Here's Cincinnati's spot, and we think it's Willie Anderson, the tackle. We'll be back to find out. Cincinnati is on the clock. Last year they had the number 1 pick with Kajana Carter. Here they are at number 10.
With the 10th pick in the first round, the Cincinnati Bengals select Willie Anderson, tackle, Auburn. The New Orleans Saints are next on the clock.
Yeah, so Willie Anderson in a pick that makes a great deal of sense for the Cincinnati Bengals, who once had a tackle by the name of Anthony Munoz that played pretty well for them over a course of years. And here's their history in offensive line, first-round picks. They really, in the late 70s and the early 80s, had one of the first, even bigger than the Hogs, huge lines, which is one of the reasons they made it to the Super Bowl then in 81. Of course, Munoz and Remington and Big Blados didn't really turn out as well, but Munoz is arguably as good as any that ever played the position. For Willie Anderson to play tackle, remember,
Well, congratulations, Blair, and good luck with the New York Jets. I know they're happy to have you. And we have the Cincinnati Bengals are up next, and we'll go to the podium. It seems like the commissioner, not quite, but the clock is running on Cincinnati, checking out the pronunciation. Here's the commissioner.
The Cincinnati Bengals select James Francis, linebacker, Baylor. Kansas City Chiefs are now up.
James Francis, a linebacker from Baylor, did so much in the Southwest Conference, is the pick for the Bengals. We'll go back now to Chris Berman and the guys downstairs.
All right, Robin, thank you. And our congratulations to the young man you've been with, Blair Thomas, who was just an inspiration, as you said, and is going to be one heck of a football player in New York for a long time, or New Jersey if you want to get technical, for the Jets. Let's do it that way. So James Francis, Bengals going defense. They need pass rushing in a
needing an outside linebacker who can rush the passer from the outside. You see Francis doing it here against Texas. A good choice. We talked about Francis earlier, maybe to the Bears, maybe to the Raiders. Cincinnati had their eye on Singleton and Francis, thinking one of those two would slide through till the 12th pick. Good move coming up with a guy that I thought was one of the top 10 players in this draft, an outstanding football player. Buck and Scow are undersized, don't give him that great pass rush and that ability at the line of scrimmage. Reggie Williams retired, fills a void, and will upgrade a defense.
Has the selection of the Cincinnati Bengals to the commissioner.
Cincinnati picks the 13th spot in the first round. The selection, wide receiver Eddie Brown from Miami of Florida.
49ers have to be sweating a little bit now. Now you figure San Francisco is a little bit worried. We finally have Eddie Brown taken, and we have been talking about this, that why didn't Eddie Brown go sooner, because he was so highly rated. Maybe it's not a negative. Maybe it's just a positive for Al Toon, because Toon played so well in some of those postseason games. And that's something we've learned, of course, Paul, in coverage of the Senior Bowl.
Good. Thanks a lot, Joe. We'll talk to you later.
Great, Boomer. Thank you.
Always a pleasure visiting with you. Here's the pick. Let's go up to the commissioner.
With the 14th pick in the first round, Cincinnati Bengals select Raynard Wilson, linebacker from Florida State. The Miami Dolphins are now on the clock.
Wow, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now this, as far as sheer player, as far as a guy whose motor runs every play, some people, Mel and Joe, describe Raynard Wilson to me and some of my bird dogs as one of as maybe the hardest player in the draft. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think when you look at his motor, and I think Bill Parcells raved about Raynard Wilson, the kind of effort he gives you. Cincinnati with Dick LeBeau, they're going to be 3-4. How are they going to work Raynard Wilson into that mix? That's going to be the question here. Certainly a guy that played opposite Bull Ware and did a good job.
I also think that you have to take a look at the great job that Bruce Koslet did with this football team. They were 7-2 through the latter part of the 9 games of last season.
Welcome back to New York. Mel, now who in the bottom half of the first round?
Ingram. Is he a defensive end? Is he an outside linebacker? Is he a middle linebacker? That tweener type player usually does drop a little bit. David DeCastro, pure guard. Reef, left tackle. Glenn, the right tackle. Merciless, the one-year wonder, led the nation in sacks and forced fumbles. Chandler Jones is red hot. Missed 5 games with a knee, but a pass rusher, the brother of Arthur Jones. Nassie's the best right tackle, I think, available now, one of the best right tackles in this draft. Kirkpatrick, the corner from Alabama, played in a lot of big games. I love Levante David. To me, you coach Derek Brooks, he's that type of player. And Courtney Upshaw, like Melvin Ingram, only 6'1.5" with short arms. They're tweener. That's why those guys are still on the board.
And now the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the Carson Palmer first-round pick from Oakland. They also pick a few spots down.
With the 17th pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Dre Kirkpatrick, defensive back, Alabama.
Well, now here's the third Crimson Tide to go in the first round from the national champs. Dre Kirkpatrick, well, we know he has first-round talent.
Meriwether or Griffin.
With the 18th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Leon Hall, cornerback, Michigan.
I was wrong. You don't need phonetics for Leon Hall.
Now that's an easy one. And he's a technician. Great feet, tremendous change of direction. He's what I call a safe corner, both on and off the field. The drive, the change of direction, to break up the slant. Gets his hands on the receiver. Now he uses his body to get him up against the sideline. There's no place to deliver the football. Against Jarrett at USC, watch what happens. Combination coverage, corner and safety. Jarrett, who runs 4.67, ran right by Leon Hall. For the previous pick.
For the Bengals.
For the Bengals.
With the 21st pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Tyler Eifert, tight end, Notre Dame.
Now, in case you're wondering, again, as we mentioned, when a pick is made, the team that's next on the clock and the rest of the teams that are still on the clock know who it is. So the Falcons trade was pulled off with them knowing Eifert's already off the board. That said, he is now going to Cincinnati, where Gresham is already there, and they've got an incredible group of athletes to catch the ball from Andy Dalton.
And the Andy Dalton thing is critical. If they're going to take the next step, and remember, they've lost 2 years in a row to Houston in the wild card. How do you get over that hump? You need another playmaker, and Dalton has to take another step up.
We know about A.J. Green and Andy Dalton setting all kinds of records as youngsters, but now we got a lot of teams thinking about 2 tight ends at the same time and going a little no huddle and spreading those guys out.
It had to be a tight end or a corner. And they can't line up in practice right now with the number of corners on their roster. Asante Samuel is really the only starting corner. Robert McLean's a kid that they picked up that played pretty well in the
With the 24th choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jonathan Joseph, defensive back, University of South Carolina.
No question about it. He couldn't have gone to a better team, and he couldn't be around better players to learn the game from. Torrey James is a guy who's very experienced and uses his great length to make plays in coverage. You get the same thing with Delta O'Neal. You watch him right here in coverage. This is against Auburn right now. The recognition ability come up, and you see him miss the tackle right there. That's the problem, Mike.
Yeah, that's a bad whip right there. And when I talk about inconsistencies, on tape you see it all the time. Sometimes he'll come up and be physical and make a play. Other times he whips. Here he is, keeps leverage, drags down the ball carrier. Not a great play, but a solid play against the run. I think he's a little more comfortable in press coverage, but he gets caught up in trash. That was just a simple little rub route, got caught up. He lets his receiver go and then compounds it with a poor effort on the tackle.
We got a trade.
Uh-oh!
Wait.
We await to see what the commissioner will be doing. The Bengals, this is the pick they got from Seattle in the Blair Bush deal.
Bengals. Cincinnati selects
Go ahead, Mel. King.
linebacker Emmanuel King from Alabama.
And Mel, yes, you did beat Pete Rozelle to the punch. Emmanuel King was selected, and then Denver and Miami next up. So King is the selected, and let's move back to the Raiders selection. No major surprise, it was Jesse Hester.
It was Jesse Hester. Well, it is a surprise. Some people did not think he would go in the first round, but we have Jesse on the phone with us right now from down in Tallahassee at Florida State. Congratulations, you're going to the Los Angeles Raiders, a team that has been always known as a big play team, and I guess you feel that this is a good place for you to go. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. Anytime a receiver can go to a team like the L.A. Raiders caliber, which they pass the ball quite a bit, is a dream come true for a receiver.
Jesse, when did you have an idea that you would be a first?
Picks in Ohio in the first round because even though they traded down, the Cincinnati Bengals are now picking in the number 27 slot for the second time. The Bengals earlier in the draft picked Dre Kirkpatrick, the cornerback from Alabama. So here are remember, 3 teams out of 4 in this division made the playoffs. The Bengals had a marvelous year. Andy Dalton, top of the second round quarterback, was a leader. They hit big with the wide receiver Green. Benson is a question, although they have Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis from the Patriots. Benson is not on the team at the moment. And of course they play defense for Marvin Lewis. They made the playoffs and nobody saw that coming. Credit the Bengals.
You know, Mike Brown has never drafted a guard in the first round, ever. This might be the year because somebody has to block Haloti Ngata. And last I checked, the Bengals have 2 new guards, Travell Wharton they picked up from Jacksonville, and Jacob Bell. Cordy Glenn, Kevin Zeitler, I think could really help this football team inside.
The Bengals.
With the 27th pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Kevin Zeitler, guard, Wisconsin.
And there you go. I think you know their offense, too, don't you, Coach?
I don't know anything about the draft process, though, Chris. I do know that Kevin Zeitler is another Wisconsin Badger that can come off the ball and do some things athletically. He can play in a zone scheme. He's an athletic puller. He can find his target. He can redirect. At the end of the day, he can thump you. I think the Bengals knew that the Ravens were looking at Zeitler later in this round to replace Ben Grubbs. But we already talked about the lack of guards on the Bengal football team. Andy Dalton needs firm protection so he can step up in the pocket. Zeitler is a good athlete. He's not an elite athlete, but he is an every down wrecking machine that works to finish.
What do we say about Gabe Bramy last year? A mauler. That's what Kevin Zeitler is. A true mauler, powerful in the upper body. Really loves the battle, scratching claw. Gets the most out of his talent. Limited a little athletically. But I'll tell you what, he played at a very high level, and there were a lot of teams in the late first round that were on this kid and wanted him to be part of their offensive line.
And you say he's a great athlete. If he can do a backflip like Jerome Simpson, then we got some story going for a Badger up front. All right, now, Green Bay, Baltimore, San Francisco, Denver, and the Giants, and that's
28th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Myles Murphy, defensive end, Clemson.
Well, there is a man who can pressure. It's Myles Murphy out of Clemson.
Yeah, they get more size here with Myles Murphy than they would with Nolan Smith. This is somebody coming out of Clemson that is really, really talented. I think there's more there than what we've even seen thus far. He's got a great long arm move. Just needs to continue to develop the rest of his repertoire. But he's got a lot in his body. I think he's just tapping the surface of what he can eventually become. And I think they're betting even on more upside here. You see that inside arm? He can jolt you with that inside arm with pure power. See him again coming off. That is his move right there. He's going to need to continue to add
making a selection. So we'll see what happens. But here's the pick of the AFC champion Bengals.
With the 31st pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals select Daxton Hill, defensive back, Michigan.
All right. So Dax Hill is the second Wolverine selected in the first round tonight. Aiden Hutchinson 2 and Daxton Hill from the school up north. Going to be playing his football in Cincinnati.
I thought there was a chance they might go to another Wolverine here with David Ojabo. They go with Daxton Hill. They've always loved Big Ten players there with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Daxton Hill, coach, he can play in the slot. You can play him up high. He can do a lot of different things.
All about versatility. Quick, explosive, can cover, can blitz. Really, really good football player.
Joel, I know you saw a ton of this guy in the Big Ten. What was your take on him?
Well, he can do everything, and I thought one of his best traits was his ability to tackle in space. Guys, he's got long arms, he's tough to block, he can cover one-on-one in the slot as a man defender, he can play deep in the middle of the field, he can blitz off the edge. He almost ended Graham